Hi, and thanks for joining me. What I want to do is go through Mercury IT's cybersecurity roadmap with you to see if you can also use this to improve your cybersecurity within your own organization. I'm Chris Haigh. I'm Mercury IT's Chief Information Security Officer. Now, I'm going to split this video into three parts based on the maturity levels that we have of maturity level 1, 2, and 3 as we walk this through. So the first part, this video, will concentrate on the level 1. But just as an overview, you'll see it starts at the bottom with level 1, where we will carry out, or you should carry out, a technology risk assessment, moving into then fixing what you find around that, so your quick wins, looking at defense in depth, so do you have the basics in place, then building up staff awareness, implementing a framework that works for your organization, rolling out those policies and procedures, and then moving into a level 3, which is managed and optimized security, where you set up a security operations center or outsource that, run continual testing like pen testing or vulnerability assessments or both, and then looking at compliance reporting, whether that's for insurance purposes or other. So going into the first part of this, I'll drill down into the level 1. Now, the first part of this, you'll see it says initial and developing. That's because there's kind of two areas with this. It's generally where a business starts its cybersecurity journey and then moves on. So you'll see we kind of look at this as a people, process, and technology. So when you're starting, you may not have assigned people, for instance, so there's no leadership around the intersection. So when you get into developing, now we're taking those first steps. We've got some policies in place, we have people that are responsible, and we can move that on. Now, a lot of what we do around the defense and depth piece of this is around the technology. So if we have a look at how we look at this, and you could apply these same principles to your own organization, is we start with a technology risk assessment. So generally we run some sort of automation tools here around the network and around security. So we can actually produce a report, and then off that report start to fix some of the basics that need tightening. So we also tend to do client interviews here. So if you were doing this in your own organization, you would definitely go to the business leaders and the different sections of the business to find out what software is being used, what processes are being used, so that we can identify risk. Out of this report, it makes it pretty clear what areas that we need to look at to tighten up. So we're looking at kind of a low cost, no cost, quick wins for the organization to tighten up the basics. Our next step is to look at our defense in depth strategy. So these are some of the basics and mostly around the technology pieces that we're looking at. So do we have next generation firewalls in place so that they have intrusion prevention systems enabled? Do we have endpoint security enabled, so advanced malware protection? Are we protecting our emails, so advanced malware protection, antivirus, anti-spam at the mail domain entry points coming into your organization? The next pieces are things like protecting web browsing. So there's two ways of doing this. We look at protecting DNS lookups firstly, so basically blocking known domains that are going to try and infect systems with malware. The other area is looking at intelligent proxy or just full proxy services for your web traffic, again to prevent malware, drive-by downloads, etc. We also look at things like putting in external port monitoring. So we monitor from the outside. This is looking at the attack surface and trying to reduce the attack surface of the organization. So no random ports open to the public. The other area we look at is credential monitoring. So monitor the dark web, hacker forums, things like that, to make sure that there aren't any compromised or probable compromised credentials, so we can do resets of passwords and things like that. Now, with these tools, essentially they need to be managed. So you're going to be looking at your endpoint security, but it's going to produce alerts. So you're going to have processes in place to actually deal with this and go and look at those attacks and making sure that those are rectified as they come up. But otherwise, that is the general part of level 1. Our next step is introducing cybersecurity awareness training to staff, which moves us into a level 2 of maturity. And I'll go into that in more depth in the next video. So we'll see you there.